Hey, good morning. This is Joe Van Cleve, and today's video, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. You know, when it comes to photography, I've done a number of videos that talk about film photography, paper negatives, Harman direct positive paper, making box cameras and pinhole cameras and all that. Today's subject is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about video cameras, specifically video cameras for doing these kind of videos, but I'm going to put my own Joe Van Cleve spin on it, and we're going to talk about old video cameras that are kind of slightly out of date, and specifically are the flip video cameras. You know, there was a time probably back around 6 or 7 years ago when the smartphone was just coming to market. But there was already these cameras called flip video cameras. And the idea was it was a handheld video camera, pocket size, like about the size of a pack of cigarettes, which is kind of an interesting metric that we use for gauging sizes. Its main feature was it has a little color LCD screen on the back, a big red button for starting and stopping the recording, and I think where they got the word flip was the USB port that is built into the side of the camera, enabling you to plug it into a computer or a laptop or a tablet device, as I use. These cameras were, most people have forgotten about these, but these were really well made and they worked really easy. So let's look at the flip video camera. To understand the flip video camera, you have to realize that they came out in a time when HD video, high definition video, was first coming to market, and they were kind of ahead of their time. They had a number of models. The first flip video camera that I bought was this, called the Ultra HD, and I think it was 720p was the recording format on this. But basically the features of this, you have a fixed focal length, fixed focus lens up front. You have, as I mentioned earlier, the flip out USB port on the side, and I might add that there's software built into the camera that if you plug it into a PC, it automatically loads up a flip video camera interface software with editing software, and also has the ability to upload videos you've edited already right to YouTube. There is an HDMI port on the side. There is a tripod mount on the bottom, and a power button on the side here. And then on the front, you have some menu buttons. Besides the record, start, stop, there's a playback, and there's a four-way controller, and there's a trash can button for deleting videos. Now, the cool thing about these, there's a locking switch on the bottom, and you slide it, and then the front panel pulls off, revealing the battery pack. Now, this particular model came with this rechargeable lithium pack, but you could take it and you recharge it through the USB port, plugged into whatever device you have, but you can pull this battery pack out and replace it with a pair of AA batteries. So this was the first camera that I bought. Then Cisco bought Flip, and they killed it. But I was going to say, this first camera that I bought, there was actually a whole line of accessories that were available for flip cameras, which you can't, they don't make them anymore, but they have like an accessory belt pack, right? And one of the other cool accessories that was really neat is a made in Japan wide angle lens. This is a 0.45 wide angle converter. It's a metal, aluminum, and glass multi-coated optic lens, and it has lens caps on both front and back side. And the way it works is you have this little metal ring that has an adhesive backing you peel off, and you stick it to the front lens window. And then that enables you to magnetically attach the wide angle lens to the camera. Now, with this particular model of flip video camera, because the actual sensor and lens is recessed inside this little lens housing, it actually vignetted the corners slightly. But toward the tail end of the flip era, they came out with a new version of the Ultra HD, which shoots 1080p. And you might notice the physical difference in size. The new one is thinner and lighter than the old one. It has the same size screen, the same kind of button interface on the back. This one was the last one I bought before the Flip got purchased by Cisco and then went out of business. But this one actually has a rechargeable battery pack of a different kind, and in my particular unit, my battery pack is dead. It no longer works. So I have, this particular model uses AAA batteries, if you want to run it off disposable batteries, and which I have AAAs in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the power button on the side, and we'll see it come up, and there's my face. Now, the focus on this is kind of, arm's length focus is kind of the minimal focus distance. But what I noticed about this camera, and it's hard to see, but the lens and sensor are much closer to the front window on this camera than they are on the other one. And so I've put the other mounting ring on this, and when I mount the wide angle lens on it, it doesn't vignette the corners. It gives me a really good wide angle picture, and it's a really good lens, this wide angle lens. So this is kind of going to be my alternative B-roll video camera from going forward, because it's really a great quality little camera that I never used very much for some reason after I got it. I want to talk a minute about workflow. Many of you who are producing videos are using laptop or desktop computers, either PCs or Macs, and you're using some kind of standard editing software. Well, for my entire YouTube career, I've been using an old iPad 2 with the iOS version of iMovie, which is kind of a limited basic video editing platform. But the thing is, it's very reliable and never hangs up or has problems, and it does a good job for what it is. The problem with interfacing to iPads, especially the older ones though, is not every video device you can directly import video into an iPad. And I'll give you an example. I showed you, I don't know if it was in the video here. Yeah, I have a couple videos ago. I showed you the Narrative Clip 2. I don't have it with me, but it's a little black video camera, a little bit smaller than this, and it has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and is sort of designed as a life logging camera. The problem with that camera, using it as a B-roll camera, is I can't import the video directly to the iPad. If you plug it in via some adapter cables, the iPad just doesn't recognize it. And what I have to do therefore is I have to use the Clip Narrative software on my desktop PC and transfer the files that way to the iPad in order to get them into the iPad to use them in a video editing project. So it's a roundabout multi-step process. Conversely, if you use the Flip video camera and the camera connection kit accessory that goes from the Apple port to USB, you can simply plug in your Flip video camera right into the iPad and it transfers them fine. So when it comes to workflow, this is just so much easier than using the Narrative Clip as a B-roll camera. This camera is pretty lightweight. It's obviously a lot bigger than the Narrative Clip, but it's really pretty lightweight. And if you take the accessory lens off and put it in its little storage bag, this camera is easily pocketable. You can put it in the pants pocket or a cargo pants pocket or whatever. So it really is a portable B-roll camera. So let's go ahead and look at this camera and look at some footage from it. Well, this is just a test of the Flip camera outdoors. This is in a shaded corner of my backyard. I got some sunlight coming in from the side on the wide angle lens, so we'll see if there's any flare or not. But let's go across the yard to some shaded areas underneath the tree and see how it looks. Okay, here we are underneath my tree and my seating area out here. And of course I'm holding the camera at arm's length. But so I have this mottled kind of lighting on the man cave shed behind me. And I'm in mostly shade, a little bit of light on my head. But This is kind of typical of what it's capable of doing. Indoors, under room lighting, I find, even though this is an older sensor, I find it's probably a little bit better quality than the newer Narrative Clip 2 as far as low light capability. Of course, it's nothing as capable as the newer mirrorless digital cameras. Those are a lot better. One thing about this wide-angle adapter lens is that it gives you a little bit wider, quite a bit wider depth of focus, and because it's a fixed focus lens, I can get in closer to objects before they go out of focus. I'm trying to get these spider webs. You might be able to see right there. There's spider webs coming off the daylilies. But so it gives you more of a close-up capability with this wide-angle lens. So I would say using older technology is an interesting thing to do, because you know I'm a film photographer guy, manual typewriter guy, so it's kind of interesting to delve into older technologies. But the thing about the Flip is it was really kind of ahead of its time, because it came out just before the smartphone era, but it was killed right about the time that the GoPro action cameras were coming out and smartphone video quality was getting better. So Cisco really had poor market timing and a poor sense of what their product was capable of when they bought out the company, when they bought Flip. These were very cool products, and they're still, I think, a valid way to shoot B-roll footage for these kind of videos. So if you happen to be looking around in used electronics stores and you happen to come across a Flip video camera, I'd really consider getting it if the price is decent, because like I say, it has a color screen, it interfaces to almost any electronic computer device or tablet seamlessly. These are really well engineered, better than a lot of the newer products, I think. And you have rechargeable as well as disposable battery power. So this is my sort of mini 6-year late review of the Flip video cameras. This is Joe Van Cleve. You have yourself a good day.